Hello, everyone, and welcome to our session today. I'm Ross. I am one of our customer success leads. We'll be taking you through a number of our new features and functionality that are in the Findem platform and coming very soon. Um, as we are waiting for some of the attendees to join the session, we'd love to hear from you in the chat. Where are you dialing in from? And we are 43 days away from the FIFA World Cup. Which team are you supporting? All right, and in the chat we have Elena dialing in from Belarus, and a few from across the US. We have from Mexico City supporting France. I don't think the teams in Mexico will be as happy about you supporting France over there. Oscar dialing in from Scotland. Good to see you again. We were just on a call this morning. And for those who have just joined, we are giving it just a couple of minutes for everyone to get onto the call. If you didn't hear, we're excited to have you on the call, and we've asked everyone to put in the chat where people are calling in from, and which team you're supporting in the World Cup that's coming up in the next 43 days. All right. As the room continues to fill up, I will get us kicked off. So again, welcome everyone to today's session. I'm Ross. I am one of our customer success leads here at Findem, and we're excited today to show you a range of our features and functionality that is currently live in the platform and some new things that are coming over the next couple of weeks. We're excited to walk you through that. We have our product team who has joined as well. And we also have Stephanie, also from our CS team. Stephanie, I'll hand over to you real quick.
Yeah. Hey guys, really happy to be here. I am Stephanie. Like Ross mentioned, I'm on our customer success team, but I've been in recruiting, as I was reminded today, for 15 years. So quite a while, and really excited for y'all to see some of these new features that we've got coming.
Absolutely. Thank you, Steph. As a quick reminder before we go through onto the next slide, some of the things that we'll be walking you through today. First, we will take you through guided search and sorting studio. If you haven't been into Find Them over the last couple of weeks, those should be live in your platform today, as should our Find Them Intelligent Agent, which is our first assistive agent that you will see in our platform. A couple of features that are coming very soon. We are making some changes to the homepage where you land and find them, and also to our inbound functionality. We'll also be able to answer some of your questions today. So if you do have any questions, Stephanie's going to take you through how you're going to share them with us.
Awesome. And we want this to be as interactive as possible. So you've got a couple of different ways to chat with us today. You'll see that Q&A box at the bottom of your screen, and we'll have some time at the end of this. So feel free to add your questions as they come up. You've got the chat box. So Ross and I will keep our eyes on that and make sure that those questions get heard. But if you're feeling brave and want to come off live, you can also raise your hand and we'll take some questions in the moment as well.
All right, so without further ado, let's get into the new products that we've built. So first, we've heard from some of you as our customers that building a great search and quickly getting to the best candidates can be hard. You're balancing most of the must-have and the nice-to-have requirements from a hiring manager, and you're trying to translate those into a multitude of different platforms. our guided search, sorry, and our sorting studio help you to not only start your search, but also make sure that you're prioritizing those candidates using natural language. And with that, I'm going to hand you over to Sheldon from our product team to walk you through these updates.
Hey everyone, it's great to have you here with us today. I'm going to talk about guided search and sorting studio, and then I'll provide just a short demonstration of kind of the end-to-end experience on how Findem experts get to quality candidates. And so, you know, the reason we built guided search is we heard from a ton of recruiters, and we spoke to a lot that they spend the first chunk of every search like tweaking and tuning, like Ross said, the must-haves and the nice-to-haves mainly because like what's in a job description might not always capture everything that you're intending and looking for. And so that's why we built guided search. It asks you a few targeted questions about what's missing, and we make recommendations on what things we think would be optimal to add for you to get to the right candidates faster. And the next feature that I'm going to share with you is Sorting Studio. And hey, Lauren, could you just go into the next slide for me, please? Um, the Sorting Studio, we heard from a ton of recruiters that they spend hours and hours reading resumes, which is extremely time consuming. And so they even told us that sometimes having a really well-defined search leaves the hard work at the end, where they have to read hundreds and hundreds of resumes just to sift through to find the things that we're looking for. And so we built Findem Sorting Studio to do all of that reading for you. And we also gave you an opportunity to give it the requirements, and we will sort and rank those candidates based on those requirements and show you exactly why they match with the description. And so, what better way to show you than to run a demonstration? So, I'm just going to give a short demo here. Alrighty, so in the Findem product, I'll start with guidance search. We have a new feature up here called guided search, where we take you through a progression of adding your natural language requirements and turning those into a search. And so I have a job description here for a principal product manager that has PLG experience. They need experience with APIs and data analysis located in Vancouver, BC. And so what we're doing right now is we're parsing through that JD. We're taking all of the requirements that the hiring manager was asking for. And in progression, we're going to ask and answer a few questions so that you can add additional requirements to the search. And so what we found here is, I'm looking for a principal product manager based in Vancouver with 8 to 18 years of experience, skilled in OKRs, KPIs, databases, and has some real-time analytics experience. And so we added guided search to move you through a progression of questions that we think can help you tune the search. And so do any of these other related current job titles fit what you're looking for? You know what? The hiring manager was very specific. We want a senior principal product manager. I can see in the top right-hand corner here that I have about 58 matching candidates for me right now. And you know what? I want a little bit of a bigger pool. We're actually okay having, candidates in Canada. And so let's just widen that pool to about 391 candidates. The JD asked for exactly 8 to 18 years of experience, and I can see exactly how many candidates fall in each of these buckets. We're going to leave that for right now. And we'll ask some questions about company context. Do you want people in SaaS companies or marketing technologies? I actually want people that have previously worked in SaaS before. Would I like any other must-have skills? Definitely data analysis. The hiring manager was very specific. We want super data analysts. And we always recommend adding some Findem magic. And this is the secret sauce to really elevate and find those hidden gems. And so I want someone that's had a swift career advancements in product management and maybe a product leader who's scaled a company from 0 to 5 million. And so that will successfully create my search. That's the new guided experience. And so we can go ahead and start reviewing each of these candidates. So we also heard from a lot of recruiters that, sometimes I couldn't really articulate what the hiring manager wanted in a filter in this left navigation. Some things they're a little bit more qualitative. And so we added Sorting Studio where you can rank and prioritize your requirements and explain them in natural English. and then see and reshuffle and resort those candidates to see which ones have those experiences. And so agent experience in product management, ability to synthesize data, quantitative data. You know what? It was really important that this principal product manager helps to mentor other product managers. And that's really hard to find in a JD or even someone's resume. And so I'm just going to add here experience mentoring other product managers. And what Sorting Studio is going to do is it's going to take that pool of candidates and then prioritize those candidates in order of all of those candidates that have those experiences. And so what we can see here is there are candidates with great rankings. They have all 5 of the buckets: data synthesis, collaboration, and product growth. And my newly added requirement, which is they have experience mentoring other product managers. We can see here when I hover that Sorting Studio goes through the entire candidate's profile, reads through all of the context, and provides evidence as to why exactly they met that requirement. So you don't have to go searching through all of this information. The AI will summarize this for you and tell you exactly why. And so the profile explicitly states here for mentoring other product managers that they've managed and coached and mentored other product managers. So you can be confident that, each of those candidates meets those requirements. So we'll sort all of those candidates. And as you'll see in this art table here, as you move down and down, you can see just at a glance who is meeting those requirements and which one of the ones they have or don't have. That's it for my Sorting Studio demo, but thanks so much, and I'll pass it back off.
Awesome. I am really excited to be the one that gets to introduce Fia. Fia is Findem's first intelligent assistant. So if you are someone who is really tired of the tool piece of this and just want to type to somebody to figure out what you're looking for, Fia really takes the learning curve out of Findem. So if you want to expand your search, summarize your findings, find maybe filters that you hadn't thought of before, Fia really does all of that work for you. So really pumped to have David take that and introduce us.
Thanks, Stephanie. I am excited because a lot of you have, I'm sure, have used, and if you flip to the next slide, I'm sure a lot of you, or if not all of you, have used ChatGPT or Claude. And everyone's bringing a chatbot of some sort. But these chatbots aren't very smart, aren't very well trained. And so what we've done is taken the typical chatbot experience, but made it hyper trained on your data and on the job that you have, which is trying to find great talent. And so to start, in our first version of FIA, we said we want to give FIA 3 jobs. Let's help you, when you see a set of search results, expand or focus your search results. Let FIA help you define what's kind of tricky. Maybe it's vague and you don't know what the right terms are, the right keywords. Let FIA figure that out. And lastly, help you get a sense, a summary of what you're seeing on your screen. So I want to walk through that in an example here. And one of you out there is looking for a head of tax. I won't out you, but you're out there, and I know you're in the audience. And so I took your job description, and like a good recruiter, I ran it through guided search that Sheldon just ran through. And I'm going to skip through all the great things we do to find candidates. But here we are in this first set of search results after going through guided search. And we land on a set of tax leaders. Pretty straightforward. But this is not exactly what we're looking for. And we want FIA to help us focus our search. And so as we look through, as a recruiter, we're going to skim through the first set and say, yeah, global head of tax, global head of tax. Okay, lots of heads of tax in here. Great. Okay, this is good, but not exactly what I'm looking for. It turns out that my hiring manager doesn't just want someone that's a head of tax today, but somebody that is about to get promoted into a head of tax. And so we could just go to FIA and say, hey, they're not a head of tax today. Who are folks, including your search, people that might be good candidates for that? And that's kind of vague because if you think about it today, you could put in senior director titles. You could put in a whole bunch of other titles that may or may not include the right criteria or keywords. You don't have to figure any of that out. because FIA is trained on how to think through keywords and titles and companies and experience, you just have to give it this high level question. And FIA will think through, okay, well, how do I adjust a search to get to folks that are candidates? And what you'll see here are the results for that. You'll see a broader pool, because obviously it's expanded from people that are head of tax today to folks that are about to get promoted into that role. So maybe you can convince them to come over and grow into this role. So sure, we still have the head of tax, but you'll see there's some tax directors now in this, and senior tax directors. It's not just based on the title. FIA will figure out what are the right criteria to surface these incoming head of tax that you should consider. So let's say you're continuing to talk to your hiring manager, and you go through these results, and FIA's next skill is, well, tell me why these are good for my SaaS company. I work at a typical SaaS company, and I want to know, are they actually have any experience in SaaS? But I don't have time to read through the first five. And so we'll just go and FIA will directly read their resumes and tell you whether or not they have SaaS experience. So Coven here at the top, yes, here's a direct SaaS signal FIA found. Alexander, who's number two, not really, didn't see it as FIA read through the resume. But Simon, yes, in multiple places, we found direct experience at a SaaS company as a head of tax. So this is you could expand it to 10 or 20, and then you can go and click through and say, okay, I want to look at these folks where I saw very strong SaaS evidence, so I can go and dig through their profile deeper. So FIA helps summarize against the criteria that you set, so you can get to that information more quickly. And then FIA's third trick here, and one of my favorites, is you'll go to a hiring manager, and after they talk to a few candidates, they say, hey, I just don't want folks with tax. I want them to have treasury experience as well. They had to have some sort of treasury experience. And that's how do you finagle that into a search keyword or parameters? You don't have to think about that anymore. FIA will figure that out, and FIA will go through and figure out how to create a search for that. And the search is narrower. You'll see we went from a broader set to now just 18 candidates, because we see someone like Nathan here who not only owns tax, but also owns treasury. But we didn't have to go through all the work of setting the parameters. And just to show you what FIA did is look at all of the keywords and title adjustments that FIA has been making along the way. I haven't done any of that work. Setting up all these things is just gone. And so I think a great way to think about FIA is how to rely on it more to help finesse and hone in on what you're looking for. And that's it for FIA.
Awesome. Thanks, David. So next we are going to talk a little bit about our new inbound queue. Something that we hear quite a bit from recruiters is that inbound in general can just be really overwhelming. I have a ton of applicants. I might have an SLA about how fast I need to get back to them, or I just need to figure out who I need to reach out to fastest. And so our new inbound queue is a standalone view that's separate from Copilot, so you can see and action your applicants in a way, much more efficient workflow. So David, I'll hand that over to you.
Thanks. I'm back with something that's pretty exciting. At the course of every webinar, everyone's multitasking. If you're on Gmail and Slack, this is the time to come back, because everyone is drowning in applications. So I promise you the next 3 minutes will save you hours and hours going forward. So we have built inbounds in a way that no one else can build inbounds. We are leveraging our 3D data, I guess, against inbounds. And we're going to walk through a couple of new features that are exciting: how to build segments so you can quickly get through inbound applicants. How do you prioritize the best with Sorting Studio that Sheldon just walked through, and how do you refine it with FIA? So let's take a look at the new inbounds. So I'd imagine that all of you walked in today on Wednesday and you had 154 new applicants that came in. You're like, oh my goodness, I've got to read through 154. What do I do? And typically you'd have to read through them. Maybe there's a little bit of filtering you can do. But the truth is, there's probably a bunch in here that you can automatically DQ or disqualify. And so we've built this functionality called segments, where you come in and you can set up, uh, you can fix the filters that you know are going to be disqualifying. And so, for example, for this role, for a VP of engineering, I had an application question where I said, "Are you willing to locate?" I don't want to talk to anyone that doesn't want to relocate, and I don't want to talk to anyone that requires a working visa. So I'm going to set that filter. And I'm also gonna, because I'm in New York, I don't want to talk to anybody, or I'm just not considering anybody in New York. So I'll type in New York City here, but I'm gonna say anyone that's not in New York City, so exclude them. And I'm gonna save this filter. And so now this DQ filter, disqualified, is saved. So every day when I come in, these, and you can see we filtered it out to 104. Any applicants that automatically admit these disqualifications, I can just go to this segment. If I walked in on Wednesday morning, I would have seen all of them. I would have gone over here, gone to DQs, and instantly rejected them. That's it. Every day I can come in and do that. Now, one of my other favorite parts of segments to get through these inbound applications much more quickly is we all know that hiring managers have some sort of unsaid criteria. And let's say I've got this hiring manager that's super picky and he only wants, and I like to call it HM loves, because this is sort of what the hiring manager is filtering for. And so in this segment that I created, I'm going to say my hiring manager, he really loves people that worked at Apple. So either they're there now or they have been in the past. And so I'm going to set that up, set up that filter. So again, this is a bit of a saved filter. And and we'll see if any candidates that came in the last day are part of this, automatic go talk to the hiring manager. And this candidate, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not sure why this isn't loading. Let me refresh here. This candidate worked at Apple and worked at Apple. And so this is one person I know I want to advance, talk to the hiring manager. And you can set these up in lots of different filters. Most commonly, what we're learning from recruiters is they want the DQs, they want to get rid of folks that they know are absolutely not going to pass their bar. They want to focus on the gold nuggets are easy, folks that meet a very set of criteria, and then everyone's in the middle. And so you have a much more efficient path towards evaluating the applications.
David, I was going to jump in. We've got someone that raised their hand. So, hi, Sarah. If you want to come off mute, then we can have your question here. Oh, no worries. Sorry. All good. I'll give it back to David.
Okay. No problem. Let me just recreate this again. Current and past, just to make sure it goes. All right, so the second piece, so segments is really important to handle those large volumes. As we mentioned, so as we can see, here's the flag. We know anyone that worked at Apple or does currently, this person was an intern. These all have some sort of Apple experience because that's what the hiring manager loves. So in an instant filter that you can save and come back to every day. The second thing in inbounds is Sorting Studio. Folks really love the experience on search. You can now apply a distinct set of criteria to these candidates. And so as the inbound applicants come in, we read the resumes for that criteria that you're looking for. And when you are looking at the inbound candidates, maybe it's the Apple candidates, you can see whether or not they fit those criteria that you set. So for example, these are folks that worked at Apple, but you're still not sure if they're going to fit the other criteria that you set, and we have that now within the resume, so you can within the profile, so you can see it. And then last but not least, we've also included an inbounds FIA. FIA you'll start to see in multiple places because in the interest of time, I sort of I pre-ran some queries of FIA. But FIA effectively does a few things. FIA will help you set the filters here, whether it's not whether it's sorting studio criteria or setting your filters. It'll help you set your segments. And Fia will also summarize any of these candidates. If you wanted to say, please summarize all the candidates that worked at Apple, it'll go ahead and do that. So Fia is a tool, hopefully that you can use to help streamline, focus your search, and understand a summary of who they are. So that's it for inbounds. I know you're all flooded in inbounds, but hopefully this gives you a faster way to get through your inbounds every morning.
David, before we switch off of inbounds, we had a question come through from Dan about shouldn't those have been the difference between knockout questions that you would put in the job rec for the ATS versus what you're using Sorting Studio for? Dan, if I didn't capture your question correctly, feel free to add it in, but maybe a chance to kind of show how those two layer together with this inbound motion.
Yeah, I think if I understood the question correctly, the DQs are effectively the knockout questions. And so we can set the filters to be those knockout questions, which is they aren't willing to relocate and they require a visa. So those are knockouts. We don't want to see those folks, and so we've set that filter. Where it overlays with Sorting Studio is Sorting Studio will appear on everyone's profiles. And so you could, in theory, see someone that is disqualified in the DQ segment, but still is a really great match, like this candidate. And you could say, okay, well, maybe I'm willing to consider them. Am I sure I want to automatically reject them? And the opposite could be true as well. You could, in another segment, you could see Sorting Studio. So Sorting Studio is generally an overlay of analysis. The way I think about it is just an assistant that is giving you their read of the resume, but the segments are clear, distinct filters that you set and fix as you go through the different layers of filters that you want to assign within these pools that come in.
Awesome. Thank you. And I know we've got a couple other questions coming in, and we'll make sure to grab those at the end.
Yeah.
But with that, you're going to go back to me and then back to David again, but wanted to talk through one last piece here. And you guys are getting a bit of a sneak peek because both of the things that David is talking about with inbound and our new homepage are both coming very soon. And so with our homepage, one thing that we hear from recruiters a lot is that you've got recs in a lot of different places, right? You're starting one from scratch, one you're starting completely over, one you're kind of in the middle of. And then that homepage can be a little bit confusing to figure out what action you're taking where or what's going to get you to closing that rec the fastest. So happy to have David kind of show us what the new workflow is going to look like here.
Thanks. In my conversations with recruiters, I've heard as they open up Findem every day, they're not sure what to do next. You just look at the projects page and you see a list of projects, and it's like, okay, well, where do I go? I've got 40 recs on my plate. I've got hundreds of emails. What do I need to do to move forward? And so, with those problems in mind, not knowing what to do next and where are you against a goal, we came up with two things, and this will be launching gradually over time. The first thing is we want to focus on your outcomes and know what your goals are. Let's set a goal, and for everyone, it's obviously getting good candidates, but more importantly for a recruiter, it's we want to get a hiring manager to talk to good applicants. We want to get them screened. So we heard that consistently, right? Your job is to get good applicants in front of a hiring manager. So that's the one thing we wanted to set up. And the second thing is they wanted us to do the work of figuring out what to do next and showing it. So recruiters didn't have to hunt around and say, do I need to turn on a campaign? Is it on? Do I need to shortlist more candidates? What's going on? What do I do next? That's just too much brain power. And so I've got tons of other things. And so those two problems are what we're looking to imagine in the future of homepage. And so this is where we're looking to take homepage, the new version of the project page that you all go into every day. Now, first things first, everything in your original homepage is still there. It's just pushed down. So you all see this today. But if you stare at it, right, what do you do next? How do you know what to do? And I'm not an active recruiter, so I don't have active recs in here like you do. But this is effectively what you see, a list of jobs and projects that you're working on. But in the future, homepage has two pieces. One is let's set a goal so Findem can know what you need to do next. So we start out with this goal, and let's take this search engine marketing manager job. Um, uh, you can go in and say, okay, this is a search engine. I'm going to pick a random job here. And I need to get 10 hiring manager screens within the next couple of weeks. And based on setting that goal, and this is the one thing we're asking recruiters to do. So what do you get in return for this? Over the course of the next hour, the next days, the next weeks, we will constantly be evaluating how you're pacing. Are people replying? Are you getting enough applicants coming through? We can see all of that in your ATS, and we can see that, uh-oh, you're not on track to hit that goal. It's going to be really hard to get those 10 interviews by May 15th. And there are things you need to do. And if you want to do this, you just click on it and it'll take you to where you need to do that. So no more hunting for where do I go to create a campaign or turn it on? No more like, oh, some people are stuck. I need to go. You don't need to find that. They will bubble up here on your homepage. And when you do this thing, this we're calling them tiles, these task tiles will go away. And so as you get closer to your date, so for example, in this HR professionals role, yes, there are things you need to do, but you're pretty much on track. Like your emails are getting great responses. You need 25 interviews by May 1st. You've got 20 already, the hiring manager's gone through. And with all the work you've done, you're pretty much on track. There's not much you need to do. And so you should look at that and say, okay, I need to really focus on the ones where I'm behind. This food and beverage closing team leader, I haven't done anything. I haven't shortlisted anyone. I haven't created a campaign. I need to go click and do that. And so that's what we're looking for homepage of the future to do. You set a goal and Findem tells you how to get there. Findem will give you the things you need to do. There's no more hunting around. And the AI calculates what's the benefit of that. We know how many applicants you will get out of sending 100 emails. So we will calculate, do all that math for you and say, you need to email 300 more people because you're only going to get one or two more applicants. Or you need to shortlist 500 more people because you're only going to get 3 or 4 more applicants out of that. So we're going to do a lot of math behind the scene so you know what you need to do to get the applicants and interviews that you're trying to drive towards for the hiring manager. I'll stop there. And that's it for homepage. That'll be rolling out gradually to folks. Most people here won't have it, but it's a preview of what we're looking to do. So you're not surprised when you see it.
Awesome. We have had quite a few questions come in, which is awesome. So I'm going to kick those off and then we'll kind of work our way through. But the first one was from Abby about FIA. So do you have to specifically ask FIA to create segments, or can you just say, my manager really likes candidates from Apple. Can I have a filter for that? And it would intuitively know to create a segment versus search criteria.
You do need to, it'll generally want to apply filters. If you want it to create a segment, you have to say, please create a segment for candidates that have worked at Apple and are in New York City. So you have to give it a little bit of signal that you want a segment. Yeah, that's a short answer.
We had a couple of questions on goal setting as well for the new homepage. So how you set that goal, or who dictates the criteria of how many candidates make you on track to that goal. So maybe we can talk a little bit more about that piece.
Yeah, goals are completely set by you, the recruiter, and you can change them at any time. So you can set it to, okay, I need 10 hiring manager screens in 2 weeks. And a week later, you can change that and say, I only need 5. And what happens is we'll just recalculate all the math in the background. And maybe because you lowered the goal, you're like, okay, I don't need to do anything. Findem will say, there's nothing else you need to do on this rec. You're on pace. You had 4 interviews last week. You only need 1 more. Your campaigns are running. You're good. Or you could do the opposite, and your hiring manager is just rejecting everybody. You're like, oh, I got to get them to screen 20 people. I thought it was 5. I need 20. And so you can change the goal and you can push out the date as well. Right now, we're just limiting it to hiring manager screens because that's a clear trackable event in your ATS. And we know that's every candidate has to talk to a hiring manager at some point. We are getting feedback here early on um, tweaking that, but out of the gate, we're just limiting it to one goal.
Awesome. Got a couple more questions on goals, so I'm gonna go through this piece. How reliable is the signal that a passive candidate converted to become an applicant within Greenhouse? Often see the campaign say paused, may have applied, but I want to understand the full confidence that the API can kick back the full source of truth to whether they've applied or not. So really asking about how confident we can be in that goal between the relationship from the ATS integration, if I'm capturing that question correctly.
Yeah, that's that's a we so I may have conflated applications and hiring manager screens, right? One comes before the other. The goals right now are just focused on hiring manager screens. We do some math on how many applicants you get for every 100 emails that you send out. But we don't goal against it, but we look at, okay, you sent out 100 emails, and from those 100 emails that you sent out, we can see in your ATS that five of them applied. So that's a 5% conversion rate. And maybe one of those led to a screen. So we are as reliable as the tracking is in the ATS. We feel pretty confident about the hiring manager screens because that gets tracked generally pretty cleanly in the form of that status gets updated because you want to measure progress for reporting purposes. But the applications, yes, there is a little bit of fuzziness, but if it's in the ATS, it'll get pulled into our systems. And that's something we built a lot more reliability on our ATS for all the major, if you're in Greenhouse, Lever, it's much more reliable and confident, and we're much more confident in the accuracy now than we were, say, 3 months ago.
Awesome. Ross, did you want to grab that next one?
I did. So coming back into the chat, there was a question before from Dan P. And really just to clarify on the compliance approach for inbound and making sure that we are able to filter out or filter in candidates who meet certain screening questions through the application process. Sheldon or David, I'll throw over to you to take that.
Yeah, I'll take it. This is something we thought about quite a bit on inbounds. Recruiters always start from seeing all of the candidates and they decide what filters to apply. And even when they apply those filters, so for example, in my example of I wanted a filter for people who needed visas and don't want to relocate. You will always see those. One of the key criteria of the legal team is that we need to make sure people have all of these. We can see them, even if we've filtered them out, but really you're filtering into a view. We haven't filtered them away. We've segmented them out. That's why we named it segments and not filters. We've assigned them to a segment of these are people that probably aren't great fits, and the hiring manager lovers are people that are great fits. And so for compliance reasons, you will always be able to you control what filters you set. You always see the candidates of the segments that you set, and only you can manually accept or deny. We can never take any of those actions. So those are the very strong lines that legal teams have advised us to hit.
All right. And I think I'll wrap us up with one last question. So the question that came in was, I'm new to Findem. Is FIA a good place for me to start? And can you give me some prompt examples to play around with?
Yeah, FIA is a great place to start. I recommend a combination of tweaking some attributes manually, but also just starting with FIA. My three favorite use cases are, as you may have seen the examples. One is narrow a search down. So help me focus on candidates that do X, or expand the search to include Y. And so, as you saw in my tax director example, we wanted people that also had treasury experience. And so it figured out, how do I get people that have treasury experience, not just from the title, but from other ways. So that's one place, is expand and focus. The second thing is summarize. You don't need to read everyone's profile. Say, summarize the top 10. Tell me if they have SaaS experience. I think that's a really helpful piece. And then the third piece I always encourage folks to do is actually ask it whether this is the right search. Is it set up? What advice would you give me? And it'll give you feedback and say, your keywords aren't great. I would add these. Or here's some Findem magics. Findem magics, as you know, are curated keywords. So if you've been promoted 3 times, or if you're a job hopper, that's a Findem magic. We've like figured that out. And you can say, I need some more Findem magics that I can add to my search. And FIA will help you, because we've got hundreds of thousands of curated keywords, these Findem magics, like job hopper. And nobody knows all of them. I don't know all of them, but FIA will help you figure out what's a good Findem magic to apply to your search.
Perfect. Thank you, David. So that will wrap up our time going through our new features and functionality today. There were a couple of additional questions that had come through. We will be working with your CSMs to make sure you get answers to any of the questions that weren't answered today, and we'll be following up as well. As also mentioned in the chat, our marketing team will be following up over email with a recording of today's session. And if you do have questions after the session today, please do reach out to your CSM, reach out to our support team, and we will be happy to take those questions. Thank you again for taking part today, and for all of the great questions. We look forward to working with you soon.